Boom, trade season is here. Another big NBA move as the Pacers make a splash in mid-January, but the implications are interesting as another target now opens up for teams like the Sixers.
Perfect.
What is up, everybody? RB here. Welcome into Philly Take with RB. You know the drill. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell. If you enjoy the content, we'll be breaking it down all the way up to the trade deadline. We'll be doing some more live shows as well. Can't wait to hear from everybody, but I need your input because a new trade target has emerged. And in my mind, and as I'm going throughout things today, it's starting to make way too much sense for Philadelphia. Let me ask you, does Bruce Brown intrigue you at all? Does he move any kind of needle? Should the Sixers go out and try to make a move for Bruce Brown? Give me your thoughts down below. And before we jump into mine, a shout out to our sponsor of today's video. Shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Southern New Hampshire University. It is 2024, and with a new year comes new goals. If one of your goals this year involves going to college, then I have the perfect opportunity for you. SNHU allows you to turn passion for sports into a degree with their online sports management program. You'll get to learn about the business and economics of sports, sports management principles, and how to gather and analyze data. This degree can help you prepare for a career as an athletic director, sports information director, marketing manager, and even other exciting roles in the industry. You'll get to tap into SNHU's network of grads working in sports-related organizations. You'll even get to take advantage of an internship or experiential learning course within the field. SNHU has one of the largest accredited nonprofit online degrees in the country. They are radically affordable, and their online tuition rates are some of the lowest in the nation. So go down to the description right now of this video, click the link, go to snhu.edu/PhillyTake to request free info about the program and start your new year off on the right path. Upon request, a real person will even hop on a call with you to discuss how the program can benefit you personally. Once again, check it out. Click the link down below, snhu.edu/PhillyTake. All right, man, let's jump into it. So let's go over what has happened in the last 24 hours. A little recap. Adrian Wojnarowski puts this out yesterday. The Pacers finalize a trade to acquire Pascal Siakam from the Toronto Raptors in exchange for Bruce Brown, Jordan Nwora, and 3 first-round picks. New Orleans also involved in the deal, sending Kyra Lewis to the Raptors. I think when it was all said and done, they may have gave up a draft pick as well. But, you know, the NBA world is on fire. It's not even February yet. The deadline's on the 8th. And the Raptors not only decide to trade Anunoby weeks before the deadline, but they trade Siakam as well. What does this mean? Well, the Raptors are going in a different direction. And when it comes to the Pacers, they're obviously trying to make a push. Now, people are questioning, did the Pacers give up too much? 3 first-round picks, Bruce Brown, Jordan Nwora. What's going on here? Well, if you look into the picks, they're more of late first-round picks. Either way, it's a haul, and the Pacers must have to know that Siakam has at least some interest in deciding to stay in Indiana after this year because, again, he's going to be a free agent. So if you gave up all these assets for a guy that's going to walk, and let's be honest, I mean, it makes the Pacers a better team. I think they could maybe be a conference finals team if they make a late push, but are they going to win the championship this year? Absolutely not. I don't think they're ready to do that. Maybe in a year or two, but they're probably hinging on Siakam staying in Indiana. But the name to watch here in this deal is Bruce Brown. And we're going to get into his contract and all, but let's just talk about Bruce Brown, the player, just for 1 second, because Bruce Brown, as we know, is now a former NBA champion. And I never gave the guy credit before, but after last year, I had to say, man, he is really just the perfect glue piece, the perfect role player. This year he's averaging 12 points a game, 3 assists per game, almost 5 rebounds. Very small guy, but he does all of the little things. He's played in all 33 games, and he started in all those games for Indiana. And if we take a trip down memory lane in the summer, Indiana signed him to a 2-year, $45 million contract. And I remember being live. Everybody goes, whoa, what the heck is going on? Did Bruce Brown just get one of those once-a-year contracts where everybody's like, what? How did you pay that guy? Well, maybe winning cures all, and all those guys did get rewarded for what they were able to do with Denver. But after this Siakam trade, I have a different take on it now. I actually think Indiana paid him that much money knowing that they were going to be in play for another big name like a Pascal Siakam, and it made things easier when doing this salary fill and trying to match that up. So honestly, that's why I'm thinking they paid Bruce Brown all that money. Nonetheless, we know he's not worth $23 million a year, but he does contribute a lot to a team, and we saw how he was one of those main glue pieces for the Denver Nuggets in their championship run. So he brings everything you need, defensive versatility. He can provide a little bit of backup playmaking, wouldn't have to take a guy like Maxey off the ball if he was playing alongside, and he just does all the little things. He's a little scrappy rebounder, and he just finds a way to fit in, obviously, a role player. But when it comes to his contract, let's take a look at Bruce Brown, because now he's been traded to the Raptors. And keep in mind, he has an aggregate trade restriction, which means he cannot be traded now with other players until March 17th. So this would be past the deadline, and the Raptors most likely will move Bruce Brown, because what direction are they going in, right? Are they going to look to compete this year? I don't think so. You don't trade Anunoby and Siakam if you're going to try to compete. And they're really just trying to establish that core around Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickley, and RJ Barrett. And looking forward into the future, does it make sense to keep Bruce Brown in your hands this season? He's making $22 million. And keep in mind, the second year of this deal is a club option, which could be declined, and that comes in handy, which we'll talk about in a second. But when it comes to Bruce Brown, if you're not going to compete, what's the point of keeping that? Sure, you could decline his option and, he'll become a free agent, but why not try to use that to get draft capital? And that is where the Sixers come in. Windhorse says that the Sixers had assets to trade Siakam without giving up Tobias, but it came down to Philly not really wanting to pay that max contract. And I don't think a lot of teams want to pay those kind of contracts to people like Siakam, given the restrictions and the harder ones coming in the new CBA. But I saw this on Twitter, and it actually makes a lot of sense. Shout out to Jacob Moreno. Toronto would receive Robert Covington, Furkan Korkmaz, Daniel House, KJ Martin, and 2 second-round picks. Maybe a team comes in and they think Bruce Brown can be that ultimate winner piece and he can help them win a championship. Maybe they're willing to give a first-round pick. If they are, congratulations to them. But I think this deal mirrors more of what we could see. Because again, Toronto wants to get some of these salaries back, and when the Sixers made the James Harden trade, they said, okay, we're going to bring on these one-year deals, and they'll expire at the end of the deal, or at the end of the year, because Daryl Morey has this cap space plan where he wants to free up almost $60 million in cap space so the Sixers can acquire more players. But if you go ahead and acquire Bruce Brown, he helps you win this year. You get off some of these one-year deals without just letting them expire for nothing, like a Robert Covington, a Furkan, a Daniel House, and keep in mind, the Sixers are apparently, according to recent rumors and reports in prior days, not going to look into a third star. So if you think the Sixers can compete and you think they can hold up without having to go get a guy like Zach LaVine and take on a 4-year contract or a 3-year contract, and you don't want them to go out and add more burden for future years. Now, again, I'm not saying that's right or not, but if that's your mindset, then Bruce Brown actually makes a lot of sense. You bring him on, see if he can help contribute to this team, and see if he can be one of those role players that could help play around Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. And at the end of the year, you could decline the option and then, clear up more space at the same time. So I actually think this deal makes a lot of sense. And when I go look at the Sixers salary cap, I mean, really the only other guys that you could throw in here, you're not putting Batum in this deal. Morris, I don't know if, they're just going to take him straight up for Marcus Morris and somebody else, but you could even throw a Melton in if you wanted. I don't think they would do that. You could throw in a Mo Bamba, guys like that, KJ Martin, as we talked about. So, yeah, I actually think this makes a lot of sense now. Teams like the Lakers or teams like the Knicks could come along and probably offer a little bit more, maybe the Detroit Pistons. But I see Bruce Brown being one of those guys that ends up going to a contending team. And I think the Sixers make a lot of sense because, as you saw in their win over the Nuggets the other night, if Tobias Harris could be more consistent, then really all they need is a couple role players, guys that can maybe start or come off the bench if needed and provide a little bit of everything. I really think that's what they need. The more guys they have like Oubre and Batum who can just fit in and play their role, the way, way better they are off going into the future, and the more it makes sense for this team in the immediate future as they try to go, out there and contend for a championship. So that's kind of where I'm at with this whole thing. I know people are going to look at the contract and the numbers and say, oh, it's not worth it, but go back and watch what Bruce Brown did for the Nuggets last year. It makes a ton of sense. And if some of these other guys start to go off the board, Sixers should definitely make some calls. So that's my take. Give me your thoughts down below. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That being said, I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.